All right, today we're diving into one of the biggest, and I mean biggest, challenges in AI right now. How in the world do we shrink these giants?
Okay, just take a look at this number for a second. 175 billion. That's a mind-boggling figure, right? It's almost impossible to wrap your head around. So, what on earth is it?
Well, that is the number of parameters in the landmark AI model GPT-3. And you can think of parameters as these tiny little knobs, billions and billions of them that get tweaked and adjusted while the AI is learning. Now, this enormous scale is exactly what makes these models so incredibly powerful. But, and this is a big but, it also creates a massive problem.
And that really brings us to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? The big question we're tackling today is, how do we take these absolutely colossal AI models and shrink them down, make them smaller, faster, and efficient enough to actually run on the stuff we use every single day? You know, like the phone in your pocket or the computer in your car.
So, to get there, we've got to first understand just how big AI's big problem really is. You see, these giant models, they come with some serious baggage. We're talking about needing a massive, and I mean massive, amount of computing power. That makes them super expensive to train and even just to operate. And for things that need to happen in real time, like say an autonomous car making a split-second decision, they're often just too slow. And trying to cram one onto a smaller edge device like your phone? Yeah, forget about it. They're just way too big. Their size has become a real bottleneck.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The entire research community is on this. Just look at this chart. It shows the absolute explosion in research papers all about one potential solution, something called neural network pruning. See that spike since 2015? That's not just growth, that is a full-on gold rush. It's a global race to figure out how to make AI lean, mean, and efficient.
So what is this thing that has everyone so excited? Let's dive in and explore the art of pruning.
Okay, probably the best way to wrap your head around this is with an analogy. Picture a sculptor standing in front of a huge, raw block of marble. The final masterpiece, the beautiful statue, is already in there, somewhere. The sculptor's job is just to chip away all the extra, unnecessary stone to reveal it. Well, that's exactly what pruning does for an AI model.
So if we're going to get technical for a second, neural network pruning is the process of finding and removing all the redundant connections, or parameters, from a neural network. The whole point is to end up with a model that's way smaller and more efficient, but, and this is the crucial part, without really hurting its performance. Sometimes, it can even make it a little better.
And this image here, it's the perfect illustration of that idea. Over on the left, you've got the original, super dense network with all its connections firing. Then, on the right, you see the pruned version. A whole bunch of those connections are just gone. What's left is a much simpler, more streamlined network. You could say it's the same brain, just way more focused.
Okay, so that's the what. But how do researchers actually do this? What kind of tools are in a pruner's toolkit?
Well, it really comes down to three big decisions. First, what do you actually prune? Second, when do you do it? And third, how do you even decide what's important enough to keep? We're going to zero in on that first question, what to prune, because it reveals this really interesting trade-off that's at the very heart of this whole process.
Right, so let's tackle that first and most fundamental question. What do you prune? Because this one decision forces you into a classic trade-off, really a battle between precision on one side and practicality on the other.
Okay, so the two main ways to do this are called unstructured and structured pruning. Think of unstructured pruning like a master gardener with a tiny pair of scissors carefully snipping off individual leaves from a bonsai tree. You're removing single, specific connections. It's super precise, and you can get amazing compression without losing much accuracy. But there's a catch. To actually get a speed boost from it, you usually need special hardware. Now, on the other side, you have structured pruning. This is more like taking garden shears and trimming off entire branches. You get rid of whole groups of connections all at once, things like entire filters or channels. It's not as delicate for sure, but this is the approach that gives you a real, noticeable speed up on the standard hardware that you and I use every day.
And this visual makes that difference crystal clear. Look at the left. That's unstructured pruning. You see how individual connections are just zeroed out? It creates this sparse kind of Swiss cheese pattern. It's messy. Now look to the right. That's structured pruning. See that? Entire blocks, whole channels are just gone, wiped out completely. What you're left with is a smaller but still neat and tidy architecture that standard computer chips can process way, way faster.
All right,
So we know the how. Let's talk about the results. What does this look like in practice? What are the real-world trade-offs we're talking about?
This table lays it all out pretty nicely. With unstructured pruning, you get really high sparsity. That just means a ton of parameters get removed, and you keep your accuracy super high. But, and here's that catch again, you need that special hardware to see the speed up. Now, structured pruning gives you a medium level of sparsity and still good accuracy, maybe a tiny bit lower. But its killer feature? A universal speed up. It just works faster on pretty much any device out there.
So what does this all mean? Well, here's the bottom line. If your number one goal is just to shrink the model as much as possible while losing almost no accuracy, unstructured pruning is your best friend. But if you actually want that powerful AI to run faster on the phone in your pocket, then structured pruning is the way to go. It all comes down to what you want in the end. Are you chasing maximum top-tier accuracy, or are you chasing maximum accessibility for everyone?
And that choice really brings us to the future and what all this means for the next big wave of AI. Because, pruning isn't just some nifty technical trick for data scientists. It's way bigger than that. It's actually a key, maybe the key, to democratizing AI, to making it available and genuinely useful for everyone, everywhere.
Just think about the impact for a second. This is how we get truly powerful AI running right on our smartphones, right inside our cars, without needing to connect to the cloud. This is how we can slash the insane energy consumption of giant data centers. It's what makes cutting-edge AI accessible to smaller businesses or researchers who don't have a supercomputer in the basement. At the end of the day, this all leads to faster, smarter, more responsive apps for all of us.
So, that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. For years, the AI revolution has been all about getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But could it be that the next revolution won't be powered by size at all, but by being smarter, leaner, and radically more efficient?